exam, or a greater proportion of the exam questions will relate to those areas. Simply managing worksheets and workbooks, that is, basically renaming sheets, importing data into a worksheet, that's fairly entry level Excel, and therefore it's a lower weighting. So unfortunately, you're not going to get that many easy questions, but that's the nature of exams, unfortunately. So that's kind of relates to the different areas that you'll be looking at. Now, what I'm going to go through with you is what we call Gmetrics. And Gmetrics is the official platform that we use for accessing Microsoft practice tests. There are two platforms that Microsoft use, and you'll be using both of them for your different exams. Gmetrics is the one that we use for the Office exams. So what you need to do is you need to create a Gmetrics account using the link given here, gmetrics.net. You need to create an account and log in with your username and password once you've done so. It might take you a few minutes just to go through and fill in the details. We would advise you to use your sort of personal email address, just because that means that you can continue to use it once the course is completed. You use it in the future if you come across any other training opportunities. So the first thing is to create a practice test account on Gmetrics. So if you can follow the steps given here, just go to gmetrics.net, create an account, follow the steps through. If you've got an account already, brilliant, sign in and get ready to go with the next bit. But if you can get to that part, I'll give you a couple of minutes to do that. Right, just give me 1 second to bring this across. There we go. Okay, how are we getting on with that one, guys? Hopefully okay. I'm just checking here, make sure we're doing okay.
Okay, I have logged in. So what do we need
Yep.
to do? Just wait.
Great. Yeah. So I'll go on to the next slide in a second. So yeah, like we said, guys, if you can make sure you've got your account and sign in once that's done, that would be great. And once you've done that, what you need to do is I will give you a code that you need to use, and the code is on the screen. So what you'll see is once you log in, you should see like a redeem button or like a little key icon, and you can enter this product key, and that will give you access to the practice tests. Now, what if you just, I'll take a minute to just write that code down, start entering the key. Don't worry too much about what happens next, because I'll show you kind of how you can work your way through the practice materials for the Microsoft Office stuff. If you can make sure you get the key entered, that will be a good start. Everyone doing okay with that so far? Any questions? Just trying to jump back to the... Oh, I can't see the chat, guys, I think, because I'm not part of the team. So feel free to just come off mute and jump in if that's a question.
I'm watching the chat.
Oh, great. Aid, you got a question?
Yeah. So what is the deadline for the practice for the exam? What is the deadline? Sorry, I just came on. Not too long ago.
That's fine. We haven't actually sorted it. Nour and I will have a chat, and yeah, I'll have a brief chat with you about the exam process as well. We haven't set a date in stone yet, but I can have a chat with Nour about that, and we'll get back to you separately, I think. So yeah, just let's have a look at the practice test for now. If you create an account on Gmetrics and use the key on screen, that'd be good.
So in the meantime, we can carry on practicing the practice questions. Is that...
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Cool.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Okay. This product key, this needs to be used every time we log on to this Gmetrics.
Same username and password. You only need to enter the key once. It effectively adds the practice tests to your account.
Okay, thank you.
So as long as you put the code in once, you'll be okay. I think Ali, did you have a question?
Yeah, it says my key. Sorry, it says the code wasn't accepted. Let me check if I did some.
Yeah, it's got to be an exactly as it is written with the dashes in.
Yeah, I think I missed one number.
Okay, yeah, it's got to be.
Let me try again.
Cool.
I've put the code in the chat.
Yeah,
sorry, it was my mistake. Yeah, I got it. Yeah.
No problem. Great.
Thank you.
So, everyone okay with that? Any issues?
Mine says the user ID is already taken.
Ah,
yeah,
well,
I had similar issue. Sorry.
Oh, okay. That could be, well, unless you've got an account already, which I mean seems unlikely if you it's the first time using the platform. There may well be another person in the world with a similar name to you. It is a global platform, so you might have to come up with something different, I'm afraid. Just make sure you make a note of whatever your username is. If you have to make it something obscure so it works, you know. Okay, so now you've got the code in the chat. What I'm going to do is just bring the screen up on here so you can have a look and see. Hopefully, there we go. That's what I was hoping for it to do. And let's show you what it looks like. So when you log in to the dashboard and you've used your username and password and you've pressed redeem, you should end up with a screen that looks something like this. Now you'll see that I've been doing a lot of Excel stuff recently, mainly because I've been demoing stuff for you guys and for another cohort doing the similar thing to you guys. So there's a couple of things that I just want to just explain about how this works. So as I said, when you do the real exam, it will require you to use Excel. You'll be actually, you'll be given tasks to do in the application. As part of the practice, the majority of the time, we encourage you to use a version of Office in conjunction with Gmetrics. So you can download Gmetrics as a program and use it with your current version of Office. Now, if you don't have Office, or you don't have permissions to install software on your laptop, because I think some of you might well be using your work machines, etc., that's okay. There are ways around it. If you're using your own machine and you've got your own copy of Office, you can download Gmetrics and you can obviously use whatever version of Excel that you've got installed currently. That's what I would say on that one. If you don't, as I said, there's a cloud option which I'll show you about now. So what will happen is you'll press redeem, you've put the code in, and it comes up with a bunch of options. You might not see anything here on the home screen. If not, don't worry. We want to go to tests in the left-hand side and then new test. As you work your way through the tests, you can save your progress and you can come back to them later. So if you're halfway through a test and you're just having a practice and you want to, you can save it and you can come back to it later and review what you've done. Similarly, if I go on to tests and go on to completed tests, it will tell me about ones that I've already done and scores that I've got. Some with very respectable scores, some with not. So If I then go on to new test, you'll see that you'll get a couple of options come up. Now, you should probably only see these Office options here, 13, maybe 2010, 13, 16, and 19. If you're using the desktop version, it needs to be that version of Excel that you've got installed. So obviously, if you've got 2016 Excel installed, make sure you go with 2016. I'm going to go with Office 2019 because that's what I've got installed on my machine. So I'm going to press Office 2019. And obviously, we're looking at the Excel version. There's Excel Expert for those of you that are feeling more, more adventurous, but it is a very difficult exam, I can assure you. So we're going to look at this MO200, which is Excel Associate, Excel Core, as it was formerly known. Click on this, and you'll see that there are a number of different options available to you. Now, what we do next can vary depending on our setup. So if I was doing this on my desktop, I can just click on whatever Excel one I want, and you'll see that when you hover over them, they've got these different options. So I'll briefly highlight what these mean. When I hover over these Excel exams and I've got the two options, there are two different ways of doing a practice test. If you go with training mode, that is very much more of a training approach. So what it will do is it will mark each question as you go along. It will not give you any time limits. You can take as long as you like to have a go at the exam. And it's essentially, those are the two main things. You don't have a time limit, and it will mark each question as you go along so you can see how you're doing. That's obviously very useful for a first attempt because it's a good idea to get a feel for how you're doing, getting a feel for the exam style questions, how it's going to work, what sort of subjects might come up. And it also gives you an experience of, just what the exam questions look like in the real exam. If I go on to testing mode, then that is very much more like the real certification. So it will give you a time limit of 50 minutes. And it will give you, it won't give you your score until the very end of the exam, where it will tell you what your score was and whether you would have passed or not if it was the real exam. So those are two different approaches. Now, generally, people like to use the training mode for a few times until they're confident, and then they go into a testing mode. You'll also see that there are multiple versions of the practice exams. In this case, there are two. So they are two different sets of questions. So you'll get a feel for how that looks. I might also try and give you a quick demo of how the exam environment looks if I can get it working. Now, there are also some other exams here that you can look at, and these are to do with the skills and concepts involved in the exam. You may also find the simulation option available, and simulation works on a cloud license. So it can be a bit temperamental. It can be clunky, but it can create a cloud version of Excel where you practice and do the tests. So if you haven't got access to, using geometrics locally or your own version of Excel, you'll need to use these skill reviews, the concept reviews, or the simulation practice tests, because you won't be able to use these local Excel version exams, but you can still use these other ones. So there is plenty of options there for you to use. Once I do that, I can then click on the mode I want and proceed. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to briefly switch to the desktop version to show you what it looks like and show you a bit of what the exam environment will look like as well. Now, I'm hoping it will still allow me to share my screen and do this, and it won't lock me out, but we'll see how we get on. So I am going to log in using my login, and you'll see I get the exact same screen, and I'm going to go into tests, new test, and I'm going to go with Office 2019. I'm going to go with Excel, and in this example, I'm going to pick one of the local versions because I've got Excel 2019 on my machine. And I'm going to go with, what should I go with? I'll go with training mode, I think. And I just need to make sure I'm using the right one here. I think it's this. I think that's the one. Use this one. So You'll be asked to download the test resources, which is basically the Excel files you'll be using. And what will happen is it will eventually pop up with the exam environment, which has very helpfully appeared on the other screen. Really useful. Hang on a second then. Let me switch you guys over to this screen, and then I'll reshare. So you should see something like this. It looks a little bit messy because it's trying to dock everything together. Yep, and I will bring the file. So what has happened is it's created an Excel file, generated an Excel file with some questions in. Now, this is how the exam will look. You'll get an Excel environment at the top, an Excel window to work in, and you'll get your questions along the bottom. Now, on the real exam, obviously the timer will be counting down from 50 minutes, which is how long you have to do the exam. And you won't have options to save and come back to it later, because obviously it's a real exam. But it's worth noting a couple of things. Firstly, the way the exam environment looks. So you'll see that first of all, you get an overview, and the overview tells you a bit of the scenario that you're working with. So it might say, in this example, we've got a rental shop for a ski resort. It might be you're setting up a website for a pizza company. It could be any number of scenarios. You'll then have a bunch of tasks to complete, and each task will give you a task to complete in Excel. So import the comma delimited file into a new worksheet, add the import to the data model, and accept all other defaults. So if I wanted to complete this task, I could obviously start working through how I would get the objects and how I would how I would bring the data into the spreadsheet that I'm working with. So I do data from text CSV. Hopefully it brings up the right folder. Being well. Maybe. Oh, it's still thinking about it. Yep. So I can import this, and it will give me some stuff to do in Excel. Blah blah blah. So anyway, I'm basically working my way through this. And I'm just going to press load anyway, and it's going to stick it in here. There we go. Right, fine, great. So, but the important thing is I've had a go at the task. Now, once I've done that task and I'm happy with it, I can mark it as completed. And you can do this in the real exam as well. You'll see a little tick appears or a little mark next to it to say you've marked it completed and you can move on. So I click on to the next task. If I then get stuck on something and it wants me to do something with the formatting and I go, oh, I'm not quite sure how to do that, you can click this, which is mark for review. And what that does is put a little flag on the question and says, I'd like to come back to this later. Useful because when you've got an exam like Excel and you're working with obviously charts and formulas, in the heat of the exam, you might suddenly think, oh, I can't remember how to structure that formula. And you're getting a bit of a brick wall, can't really think what the answer is. So you can quickly hit mark for review, come back to it later, move on to the next task as you go. So in this case, I've got 4 or 5 questions, but you'll notice here in the corner, I've got a number of projects to complete. Now, in this case, I've got 7 projects. They will have different numbers of questions, different difficulties, different types of questions in each project. It doesn't really matter how many projects or how many questions you have. It's just the exam's way of dividing them into a logical group. So the important thing to note is you've got multiple projects to attempt. So don't get to the end of task 5 and think, well, that was easy, finish exam, because you've got more projects to do and you can move on. You'll quickly find that the time runs away with you using these projects, and obviously some projects are just 1 question, some are several questions. It just depends. Now, what I can do is eventually, when you get to the end of the exam, you'll get something like a summary screen. And what it will do is it will say, here are the tasks that you've had a go at. Here are the ones that you've completed, and here are the ones that you've got to review. And you go, oh yeah, the ones I reviewed, I need to go back to those. and you can select the thing and go to it, or in the exam, I think you can just click on the question that's reviewed and it will take you straight to it. So in this case, I'm already on it, I think. So that's why it's come up. So you can use that to move quickly between the questions. Obviously, once you're happy that you've done the exam, you press finish, done, and you get the score report there and then. What will then happen is what will happen at the end of the exam if you run out of time. So if the exam hits 50 minutes and time's out and you haven't finished it, it will still stop the exam, it will save it, and it will grade it based on what you've done. So if you don't finish every question, you will still get whatever you've been able to do. So get as much done as you can in the time period. What you'll then see at the end of the exam is you'll see a score report, and I'm going to pull one up for you here and use it as an opportunity to show you what it will look like when you pass the thing. So just bear with me a second while I log in. This is the exam environment that you'll use, Certiport. So we'll create an account for that as well, but you can do that on the day of the exam. You don't need to worry about that right now. I'm hoping login button actually does something. Yep, so I'm going to stop sharing and bring you guys back across, and also quit out of the exam because yep, I don't want to do any more on that. So let me just reshare. Hang on a second, sorry. There we go. Right, so what will happen is when you've passed, you will have a lovely little screen that says this is what your score report is. I'm going to find my Excel one, which is buried on here somewhere. Bear with me a second. Excel 2019. Now, I think that is actually not the right screen. Oh, here we go. Yep. So Excel. Trying to find the 2019 one. Sorry. There we go. This one. So what you will see on the day when you pass or fail is you'll get a score report like this. It will tell you what the required score is, and the required score is 700 out of 1,000 to pass. So you need to get 700 out of 1,000 or 70% if you like, and it will tell you how close you got to that passing score, whether you passed or not. Oh, sorry. And then it will also give you a breakdown of how you did. Now, it won't tell you what exams you did right and wrong, what questions you got right and wrong, and it won't give you the answers, because in theory you could retake the exam, get the same questions from the bank, and then know what to do. So it will only tell you roughly what areas you did well or not so well on. You can then look at that and think, oh, right, those are the areas I did well on. Gives you the score, tells you whether you passed or failed. If you don't pass, you can retake. That's not a problem. If you do pass, hooray. And what you get is you get a nice little certificate that says, it's probably going to download, isn't it? I think. Oh, no. We get a nice little certificate that says, congratulations, you passed Excel Associate on X date. And that's that. And that is basically a summary of how you go from kind of studying to doing the exam. I think the only other thing to say is that the exam will be done online. So when we book the exam, you'll be given a browser link, like a website link, and you'll click that at the time of the exam, and it will load up the exam environment, and you simply log in and do the exam. And when you're done, you just close the browser window when it's all done. I think that's probably everything relating to Excel specifically. Have you guys got any questions? Feel free to just come off mute and ask, because again, I can't see the chat, so feel free to jump in.
Liam, the question is that you were talking about projects. So where do projects jump in after you have completed the tasks?
Projects. So projects are just a group of tasks. So you might do project 1 will have 5 or 6 tasks. Okay. You'll then have something that says something like save project or next project in the exam, and you can click on to the next project.
Sure. Okay. Thank you.
Okay. Any other questions, guys?
Does it matter if you're on a Mac or on Windows? Some of the practice things, like on my Mac, there's no backstage view.
Oh, okay.
I mean, a lot of the tasks I can do them, but not in. If you specifically said do it in this order, no, I can't do it. But I can get to the end result,
Mm.
but in a different way. So if the exam is about following exactly the way that it's been set out, could be difficult. If it's, here's a table, generate a mail merge from, that's, do you kind of understand what I'm getting at?
Yes, I see what you mean. Yeah. Yeah, the exam will grade what you've done rather than how you've got there.
Okay.
So that's a very good. It's a very good analogy. Obviously, in Excel, there are different ways of doing. Right click and format cells, or I can click format at the top. It doesn't matter which way you do that, as long as you, in the exam's eyes, have done the task. That's how it will judge whether you've done it or not.
Yeah, like flash fill, for example, doesn't automatically work. You have to actually go and click on the button. It won't pick it up.
That's interesting. Okay,
Yeah.
I'm not sure I've come across that before, so it's an interesting point. But yeah, exactly. Yeah, I mean, as long as you are completing the task, that will satisfy the exam. And in the although obviously I guess you're using a desktop version of Excel, which is obviously the exam environment doesn't like on Mac or whatever. But on the during the actual exam, you'll have a cloud-based version of Excel that will just work whatever platform you're using, because it only needs a browser to work. So
Yeah. Thanks.
no problem. Any other questions, guys? Yep, I can see Toad and Joe. Is that?
Sorry about that. I joined in late due to some emergency. Just wondering when the exam date is.
We haven't talked about that yet. Nour and I will have a chat about that. Yeah.
Okay.
Just going through the practice stuff today. I'll have a chat with Nour and we'll get some dates penciled in liaising with you guys.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay, guys. Any other questions? If not, we'll move on to the AZ900. And if you, I mean, if you've got any other questions about Excel, obviously we could come back to it at the end. That's not an issue. Okay, in that case, let me park this for now.
Excuse me, sorry.
Oh, yeah, sorry, yep.
Yeah, do you know when I am on Gmetrics, you got like 1, 2, 3, 4, and 9 of them. I'm just getting 5.
Okay.
For some reason.
Okay. So you've gone into tests, new tests.
Yes.
Yep. And then gone into Office, whichever one.
I'm just I can't see these anyways. It's just I got Microsoft. I went into Office 2019, and they're 5. And I went to Excel Expert.
Oh, okay. Right. Yeah. If you're on Excel Expert, there are some slightly different options. The one I was looking at was Excel. Was the normal Excel. This one.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
That's all right. If you're feeling very brave and very confident in Excel, feel free to have a go at Excel Expert. But it is punishing, and yes, it will give you sleepless nights. That's all I'm saying. Okay, good. Thanks, guys. Right, we'll carry on then with AZ900. So bear with me a second. Hopefully, I can bring up the right slides. I've had to quickly adapt these from the AI ones, so if there are any references to AI, please forgive me. I think I fixed that though, so let me just have a quick look. Yep, so AZ900, so changing tack completely from Office, thinking more about cloud fundamentals. Now, boy, this is a meaty exam. There's a lot going on in this. Obviously, we've got very basic cloud concepts. We've got a number of different Azure services we need to know about. We are then looking a bit more detail about networks and security, privacy, cost management in Azure. So a lot of different topics to cover. Similarly, you'll see how they map in terms of the percentages. Now, interestingly, there is quite a lot of weighting to, sorry, I'm just going to switch to this. There's quite a lot of weighting to the cloud concepts and identity, government, privacy, and compliance, because they cover quite broad areas. The reason for that is that in prior versions of the exam, these topics were combined. So services and solutions were kind of one big topic, and that's why they've been split out and are now in sort of smaller domains. You will get questions on all these areas. Obviously, it's more likely you'll get some more questions relating to IaaS, PaaS, SaaS, looking at the different, the different cloud models, that sort of thing, benefits of moving to the cloud, that sort of thing. So it's worth knowing how this kind of maps to the different topic areas. Now, what we would normally do, and this is a sort of a previous set of slides, is we would effectively encourage you from exam onboarding, use the sessions that you will have done with Nour in terms of the cloud information, the cloud content relating to Azure, but also self-learning relating to the exam and the preparation that we're going to go through. The general guidance for a certification of this difficulty, I think it's fair to say, is normally somewhere in the 20 hours range. It's quite a detailed exam, and as you'll know, there are a number of topics relating to it. So that's the kind of hours you should expect to do across being in class and self-study and exam prep. Some people take more, some people take less. Now, I just want to clarify, Nour, have you gone through Microsoft Learn with these guys? I'm assuming you have.
Yes, we did.
Okay, great. That's fine. I will skip over that then. So you guys know about that already. I don't know if you've done Azure Labs, but yeah, the majority of the stuff that you need for this exam is Microsoft Learn, which has obviously got a ton of resources. So you don't need me to go through that really. It's just worth. So what we'll do is we'll just then go on to the exam platform, or rather the practice test platform, which you need for the cloud exams. And I think you guys might be doing AI in the future. If you do end up landing on that, then the same will apply for this. The Microsoft Fundamentals exams use the same platform in terms of cloud cert. So MeasureUp. Now, this is a different platform to Gmetrics and works slightly differently. What I want you guys to do is to create a MeasureUp account. And Nour, if you could put the link in the chat, that would be great. What I want you guys to do is go and create a MeasureUp account. And what I need to do is get a bunch of keys for you guys to use for your practice tests. So we might need to take a few minutes just for me to get that together, because I need to create a separate, I can't give you one code. I've got to give you an individual code based on all the people in this meeting. Yeah, if you guys can work your way through creating a MeasureUp account, I'll also bring up the screen. It looks something like this, measureUp.com. And what I'm going to do is run off a separate list of codes and then share them with you. If I can get it done in time, I'll do it now while you guys are creating accounts. So yeah, if you can just take a few minutes to create an account and get signed in, and I'll just get those codes set up for you now.
Sorry, Liam, shall we just use our own personal email address for the MeasureUp as well?
Yeah, the same for that. Yeah, absolutely.
Same.
Yeah.
Can you share the screen again, please?
Yeah, sorry. Let me just make sure I've got that in a separate window. Hang on a second. Yep, there you go.
Yeah.
Okay, guys, how are we getting on? Nour, I'm just wondering if you can add me into the team group. Will that enable me to get access to the chat?
Yeah, I believe so. Yeah.
Yeah, if you could do that, that would be brilliant. Only because it might be useful if I can post the code straight into the chat. That would make life a lot easier. But yeah, if you can, that would be brilliant.
Sorry to bother you. I tried to create an account, but I used my the personal email. You know, I registered with one.
Yeah,
but
to be
now
honest,
it's taking me down.
Sorry, I missed the last bit. You broke up a bit there.
So after I registered, but I didn't. Now, when reading the instruction, like I saw, you know, university email, but I used my personal account. But it's telling me to. I don't know. It's the way it's taking me to. And I can share my screen if you want, so you can, you know.
Okay, I think
so
it's
you can
fine
see
to be
what I'm
honest.
saying.
If you're using that email address, that's fine because you can update it afterwards. Once you've got the account.
Okay.
That's okay for now. If you've got an account set up, that's fine.
Create an account, but the next step, I'm quite confused with the click on the create account. The account is already created, but you have it twice. I don't know. New customers.
Yeah, click on create an account. Blah blah blah. Accept the promise in terms of create an account. Yeah. To be honest, it's been a while since I've created it. So as long as you're signed in and you've confirmed your account and you're at the home screen, that's okay if you're signed in. Yeah, these details are probably about a year old, so they might have changed the menus a little bit, but you know.
Okay.
Okay, so I'm just having a quick look here at the team site because I'm hoping. Yep. So I can see the chat on my team. So yeah, I'm just going to drop off and then rejoin so I can then see the chat bar. So just give me 1 minute to drop off and rejoin, and hopefully that should give me access to the chat. So bear with me a second. Excellent. Well, I can now see the chat bar, which is going to make life a lot easier. I'm just going to reshare again a second. Thanks, Nour, for sorting that out. So now, yeah, you can use your personal email address. That's fine. I'm just catching up now on the chat bar. Yep. Yep. Personal email address is fine. Okay. So what will happen is you will then. I'm just going to advance the slide a second. And you should see somewhere at the top a link to My Learning Locker. Now, it might come up by default. You might have to click your account name in the top right. There might be like a little 3x3 grid you have to click to get My Learning Locker. But either way, you should eventually end up with a register key link. That's what you need to land with. I'm now going to post the, what's the word? The codes in the chat. Now I've gone through and just quickly assigned them based on your usernames, based on what I could see in the chat. So if you don't have a key, just say, and I can allocate you one. I'm going to put it in the chat as hopefully a user-friendly table, and you can just copy and paste it out of there, which is not right. So hang on a second. Let me do that again. There we go. Now the codes are very long and unique. So just scroll down and make sure you've got the right one for your username. Now, before you go charging ahead and registering it, I'm just going to show you what you need to do because it's a little bit more complicated than Gmetrics, unfortunately. But this is, you know, this is Microsoft's platform, so we have to use this particular way of doing it. So,
sorry, Liam.
Yeah, go ahead.
I can't find where it says register
a key.
A key, yeah.
Okay, so I'm going to log into mine, and you should see something sort of similar. At the top right, you should either have a thing by your name where you can click drop down and there should be a thing to say my account, my learning locker, or you should might
Yeah,
have a
I've
grid
clicked
like
on my learning locker, the
Yep.
first one. Yeah.
Okay, there you go. So
And
I'm just
then-
mine's open. Yep, and then you should have eventually when it loads, you should have a button that says register key
Okay.
top.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah. Yeah, thank you.
Now, what you need to do is put your code in and then obviously accept the license agreement and press register. Now, I'm going to use one of these codes as an example, but I'm not going to register it. So I'll pick the one off the bottom. Now, what will happen is you press register. Now, this code, we're very generous, gives you one exam from this list. So each code, unlike the previous one where you could put in one code and it gives you all of the Office exams, this is bound to one exam. So as soon as you assign it to that one exam, that's it, and that code can't be used for anything else. So we have to make sure we put the right exam code in. So obviously, you guys are doing AZ900, which is this one, Microsoft Azure Fundamentals. You need to be really sure that you select the right exam before you press complete. Otherwise, the code is wasted and we have to give you another one, which just complicates things. So if you make sure you use AZ900, which is Microsoft Azure Fundamentals, that's the exam you want. If you do the AI exam afterwards, you'll need a separate code and we'll sort that out separately. But for now, you want to make sure you click AZ900, complete, and it should say success, all done, thumbs up, all round, that sort of thing. Once that's registered, you're on the home screen for practice tests and you should see something that looks a bit like this, but you will probably only have one grey tile. So if you've got any questions about anything along the way, do ask. We all okay with that so far?
Sorry, I'm just trying to find the exam. If you just pause for a second so I can, and then.
That's fine. So what I would do is search at the top for, oh, sorry, jumping the gun there. Use the search box in the top right and search for AZ-900. You can scroll through the list if you like, but it makes it a lot easier to accidentally click the wrong one. And unfortunately, there are a lot of exams all called Azure Fundamentals with various other bits on the end. So you want to make sure it's just this one, the original and the best. Any other issues so far, guys, with getting that registered?
Yeah, I've searched it. It pops up straight away. It says Microsoft AZ900, Microsoft Azure Fundamental. So if I just click complete.
Yep, that's it. Great. Okay, that's good. Yep, good. We like
it says
that.
go to locker. Shall I just
click
close
go to locker. That's right.
Go to locker. Okay.
Go to locker. And I don't know why they call it a locker. It's a bit of a lame name if you ask me, but there we go. I didn't come up with it. So so what will happen, guys, is once you've registered your key and you've gone to your learning locker, you'll see a bunch of you should see AZ900. You should see something that looks like this, but with AZ900 in it.
Yeah.
Now, great, excellent, good. I'm going to just use the.
Sorry, I've just got 2 tiles in my screen. Is that okay?
That's fine. Yep, you should probably have this demo one and one grey one, probably, unless you've used Measure Up before. Great. So I'm going to use Azure. I'm going to use the AI one for this example, but you can use the AZ one. Obviously, it doesn't matter. So now we need to. It's a good thing we are recording this, so you can come back to it. With the AI, with the Measure Up, it works slightly differently. So I don't know how much you know about the exam already, but I'll briefly summarize. The exam will be similar in length. It will be around 50 minutes. You will be given a selection of questions. It will be multiple choice. It will be multiple choice and there will be slight variations on that. So there might well be drag and drop. There might be select 2 from a list. There might be select true or false from these answers. They sometimes like to have here's a statement. Here's a statement about Azure clouds, Azure Fundamentals, something relating to Azure. is the statement, you know, true or false, or does a word need changing, or here's a word that's underlined, what would you change it to, etc. It's generally, you are given multiple choices for each question though. So that's the important thing to note. It will be exactly the same. It will be given to you via a website link. You click on it, you log in, we start the exam, and you'll be given 50 minutes to work through multiple choice questions. And at the end of the exam, you will be given a score report that looks exactly the same as the one I showed you for Excel, just with a different exam code on. And if you pass, again, you get a certificate that says you passed, hooray. So we're getting towards the end, you'll be pleased to hear, because I know we've been going on for a while, but I want to show you a couple of things about Measure Up, and then I just want to talk to you about what happens when we get to passing the exam and what happens next. So let's look at the Measure Up environment, which looks slightly different, as we know from the Gmetrics platform we were just using. So I'm going to click on AI 900, and you will notice for Measure Up, it demands an 80% score to pass. Now that is higher than the actual exam. The actual exam is, again, 700 out of 1,000. For Measure Up, they require you to get 80%. The thinking is that it's around the same difficulty as the exam. So if you can pass a Measure Up practice test with 80% upwards, then you're going to do really well on the real exam, because it's some people say it's harder than. I think it's about the same difficulty as the actual test. It's a pretty good simulation of the sort of questions you'll get on the real exam. So I'm going to click Begin Test. Again, don't worry, it's not the same as AZ 900. It's just for demo purposes. So what will happen is you will get a choice of options that appear on your screen. We can make sure we stay muted, guys. That'd be very useful. You'll get a choice of options: certification and practice. Certification, exactly like the real thing, just like we had on the previous version, you know, a timed environment, and we, you know, gives us a real simulation of what the exam will be like, give us time limit to work towards. Now, this is what I like the most about Measure Up, is the practice mode. So if I go onto the practice mode, I can change a number of options. There are only a few options I want to highlight, but you can have a mess around with more of them if you want to. You can specify how many questions you actually want. So in Measure Up's bank, they have 146 Azure questions. You're not going to get that many on the real exam. You're going to get, I think it's somewhere between 40 to 50 is the general guidance, but it's random. You can specify, actually, I want to just have a quick, you know, I want to have a quick 10-minute test, and I'm going to do 10 questions. Or I'm going to do 20 questions. Oh no, not 120. Let's do 20 questions for the sake of discussion. So I say I only want it to be 20 questions, and I want to give myself a fixed amount of time to work it in. I'm going to untick that for the purposes of this and go next. Now you can change these different settings again if you want to sort of avoid some of the more complex question types. But what I like is this option. This option says only show questions from certain objectives. Now, what happens is you can specify which modules on the exam, which map to the ones we just looked at, and the ones that will map to what's available on Microsoft Learn, which ones you want to cover in the test. So a good approach I've found, and others have found, and it depends on how people want to learn, is to use the use Microsoft Learn and the module slides and whatever else. Focus on, for example, module 1, come on to Measure Up, click module 1, and you'll only get questions on module 1, and you can refine that. And then you might move on to module 2. Or you might do a practice test and go, oh, actually, I'm really stuck on some of the Azure services. So I'll go on here and select, you know, module 2, which is Azure services. Again, I've got different ones because it's the AI exam. Don't worry about that. But you can pick which modules you want out from the list. And you can only have an exam. You can have an exam that just focuses on those questions, which means you can really focus the tests and focus your learning, which is really good for targeting particular areas that you want to improve on. So I definitely recommend using that option, particularly if you know that there are certain areas that you're likely to struggle on. And I'd say the majority of people do struggle on the Azure services because it's just the biggest section. It's got the most amount of content in there. And then we can continue. So I'm going to pick, I'm just going to pick this first one, press continue. I'm going to continue on, and I'm just going to show you briefly what the measure up environment looks like. It gives you some instructions to read, which I'm going to be really rude and not read, and jump straight in. And you'll see, again, slightly similar to the exam environment. You get your question at the top, what you need to do. Next, move on to the next question. It tells you how many questions you've got. You can also specify if you want to pause or exit the test. You can change some of the test options as you go along. You can also, I think, star this, mark it for review, and come back to it later, just like we could in the other platform. So I can pick in here, yes, yes, no, whatever, move on to the next one, and so on. And you get questions relating to that particular topic that you picked. So that's a brief summary of Measure Up. So across the two platforms, you've got plenty of resources there to help you. Obviously, you've got Microsoft Learn as well, plus whatever resources you've been using in class to prepare you for the exam. So are there any questions about this this Measure Up or the G-metrics? I will talk about the exam a little bit next, just before we finish up. Any more questions, guys?
For AZ 900, like Microsoft Excel, do we get to use some practical questions like, let's say if they say how to create a virtual machine, do we have to, or is it just multiple choice questions?
It's all multiple choice, just like I showed you on the screen there. So you won't be asked to build any resources for this exam. You may well be asked things like, you might get a screenshot of the Azure portal, and you might be asked to select something or answer a question relating to that, but you won't be given a live portal to interact with or build in, not for this exam.
All right, thank you.
Okay. Any other questions, guys?
How many tests can we do? Can we keep repeating tests, or is it like a one-off?
No, you can keep doing as many tests as you like. I think the only limit is you've got 180 days on the code to use it. So that's about the only limitation. But you can redo, as many in different combinations as you like.
Okay, thank you.
Look, Liam, this question, what would be the deadline for doing the test? Because you just mentioned 180 days, but obviously I don't think so. I mean, someone can wait that long. So regarding this program, what is the deadline for attempting these tests?
It's a great question. Like I said, we haven't nailed down the exam date yet. We'll do that. It will definitely. Well, I really hope it will be less than 180 days. I think that's the timeline. I think we're talking probably in the next couple of weeks, I'm guessing. But Nour and I can have a chat about that and get back to you with some options.
Sure.
So that's okay. Yeah, don't panic. The code should last you more than long enough. If you are, like I said, I mean, I'll also just one other thing. I remember is I'll stick my email address in the chat. Which, if you guys have any questions about any of the material, particularly relating to the exams in terms of the platforms and the exam type, just let me know. I'm more than happy to answer. And obviously, Nour can pass on queries to me as well if you get stuck with anything. So there's just a couple of other things I want to run through with you as we get towards the end. And that's just sort of a couple of other things that you might peripherally hear about from Microsoft. So let me just, let me just tweak that. So let me, you can see that. Yes, that's sharing, isn't it? So just a couple of things really. I can get a copy of the slides to you, I think. I'll work out a way of doing that and share a copy with you. But obviously you've got a recording of the session anyway. It's just worth noting, just for general interest, if you're more interested in moving into cloud stuff, there are a number of Azure case studies you can read about on Microsoft's page. And obviously, if you're interested in other cloud platforms, then other cloud platform providers are available. But certainly I'm here with an Azure hat on, so there's plenty of stuff out there in terms of cloud case studies that are well worth reading about. This more focuses on general Azure. This stuff relates to AI. As I said, these are more geared towards AI slides. Don't worry too much about that. And kind of the different case studies. Thinking a bit beyond what we are doing today, Microsoft have a number of schemes relating to getting involved with technology. Microsoft Learn ambassadors you can read about, GitHub campus experts, and Women into Technology, all really important schemes that Microsoft offer that you might be interested in and you might want to do a bit more reading about to join the Microsoft community. So I'm going to skip ahead to the bit about the success. Once you've passed the exam, you will get an email address. Sorry, no, you won't get an email address. You'll get an email with a digital badge on it. And the digital badge can be added to your LinkedIn account. If you don't have a LinkedIn account, that's fine. I would advise you to get one, but that's entirely up to you. You will get a digital badge that can be added to your LinkedIn account. It will look something like this. So you've got like in fact, it is this badge for AZ900. It will be this lovely Azure Fundamentals badge, and you will get a similar badge for passing Excel as well. You can add it onto your LinkedIn profile, meaning that employers can see it. And we also want you to share your success with us. So connect with myself, with Nour on LinkedIn. When you pass your test, say, hey guys, passed my test. Look, here's my badge. Really proud of what I've done. And that's really encouraging because it's encouraging to other people. Employers will see it. You'll see that a number of them here, a couple of them here have used sort of tags. Microsoft and people that partner with Microsoft do monitor those, and you'll get people from Microsoft sharing and commenting, and various other education providers commenting as well. So it's just good for networking and just general information. But do share your success once you pass. That's really important. So finally, just a little checklist, which I'm going to leave you with. I think, is that the last thing? Yes. So the last thing is just a general checklist. So we've been through Gmetrics practice tests on Excel. We've been through Measure Up practice tests for Azure. You guys have done Microsoft Learn. Now, the last thing is the Certiport account, which is what you need for your actual exam. So you remember when I went on and showed you my exam certificate, it's like an exam platform. I don't need to walk you through doing that. It's very straightforward. I'll put a link in the chat that you can use. You don't have to do that today. You can do it on the day that you do the exam. There is time to do that. So if you don't want to do it now, you got your head full of stuff. Don't worry, it doesn't have to be done today. You can do it at your own leisure. Yeah, I'll include that in the chat as well. And then the last bit relates to that success element that I was just talking about. So LinkedIn account and the badge scheme is called Credly. So across doing all these certifications, you'll end up with like 6 different profiles, which is quite something. Just make sure you've got all your usernames and passwords, remembered and saved somewhere useful so that you can make sure you can get back into them. So certainly at the bare minimum, you need your practice tests and your Certiport account. I also really encourage you to share your success with us once you pass the exams. So all that remains to say really is what will happen next is Nour and I will have a separate chat about getting some exam slots booked in. And what normally happens is we'll give you guys some choices. So you can sort of pick a slot that's good for you. So I might pick 2 or 3 slots to be done online at various times to kind of fit around my teaching and whatnot. And then we'll give you the option, you book on and say which ones you want to do. And then obviously on the day, or it's normally sort of the day before the exam, we'll send you an email with the exam link in it, which you'll then use to access the exam at the date and time that you've booked. You'll work your way through the exam, you'll do it, you'll get your score report, and you'll tell us, woohoo, I got a really good score and passed. And then we'll all sort of raise a metaphorical glass and pop some metaphorical champagne virtually or something, something like that. Okay, that brings us to the end. So thank you very much for your patience and your, persistence at getting through all of this. Have you got any questions before we finish up here?
Yes, please.
Go ahead.
So I'm just wondering, are we going to have the chance to be able to pick weekend for our exams instead of weekdays? Would that be possible, please?
That's a good question. I will have to go and look at the exam provider. So what happens is we use an exam platform that's shared by, shared with any other people that are doing a Microsoft exam. So all across the world and other universities and employment platforms. So it just depends on what slots are available. So what will likely happen is we'll pick a couple of, I guess, ideal weeks, in terms of week commencing, etc. And I'll look at what's available and what lines up, and we'll have a go. We'll do our best to accommodate that, but I can't guarantee it. I'm not aware of us having done any weekend exams before.
Oh, okay.
We can do sometimes some early morning, late evening exams, but
Okay.
again, I'll explore those options, and we'll bring you some, hopefully, a variety that you can pick from to suit.
Okay, thank you.
No problem.
And also, sorry, because I came in late, I didn't do the geometric one, the first one. Is this something I'll be able to register for as well, if I look at the recordings?
Yes, if you look at the recording, we've gone through the slides. That's not a problem.
Okay.
I'll also if you just give me a second, I'm going to, I'm just going to save a copy of this, and I'll hopefully it'll let me upload it into the chat. But I will. I'll try and do that now while people are asking questions. So, yep, keep asking, guys. I'm just going to see if I can edit the slides and make sure they're in a sort of friendly format, hopefully for you. Any other questions as we go along?
I have a.
Yep, go ahead. Yep.
Okay, I'm extremely very late. I'm sorry because of my job. I wanted to ask that how long exactly that exam will take.
Good question. So they are around 50 minutes. Sometimes with the Azure, in fact, actually with both types of exams, you're sometimes given like some pre-exam surveys, which can take a few minutes, but that's not included in your exam time, in the sense of you'll still get 50 minutes to attempt the questions, but obviously it means the overall exam experience from you clicking the link to you finishing the exam might be longer than 50 minutes, is the best way of saying it. The other thing I forgot to say, guys, is that there is when you start the certification exam, there will be a little, similarly to what we've seen on the practice test, there'll be like a portal that appears first that will explain the exam environment to you, and you've got a few minutes to read through that. Again, that doesn't come out of your exam time. So if you're not sure, you want to take your time reading that to get prepared for how the exam window will look, feel free to do that. It won't be taken out of your exam. It's from the moment you effectively press start and the first question comes up, that's when you've got the 50 minutes, basically.
Thank you.
Okay. Any other questions, guys? I can see a couple of hands up. Savali, you're the first person on my screen. Do you want to go first?
I'm sorry, I didn't put it down.
Oh, that's okay.
Okay, I need to ask one question again. That all of the things what you have mentioned, as I just log into that, I missed everything of it. So everything is recorded in this video, right?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay,
and if you get stuck, I've put my put my email in the chat, so please feel free to ask if you're stuck.
Thank you.
No problem. I'm just getting the slides ready. I think I can share them with you. I think there's someone else with a hand up. Who was next? It was.
Sorry, it's me again, Tolu.
Yep.
So I'm on the measure up, but when I did that, when you were showing us the demo, I had to tile, but now I could only see the measure up tile. I can't see the other AZ one. I don't know what I've done.
Right. Okay. Just let me. Right. Hang on a second. Let me just bring this up because I think I've just got the slides to show. Try to share anything. So, right. I'm just sticking the slides in the chat. I really hope it works. If it doesn't, let me know. It's just uploading now. Right, sorry. So your question was about measure up, yeah?
Yeah, measure up, please. Yeah, because I've got to tell before when you were showing the demo and I had to tell measure up and is it something 900?
Yep.
But I don't know what I've done. I was listening to you and now I could only see one cell, but I can't find the second one. The AZ 900 practice test.
Okay, so you need to have what you need to have done is gone into register key, put the key in, and then fully clicked through to the end of the thing. So you might need to press register AZ 900, select the exam, complete, and then it says something like go to locker. Make sure you click all of those things until you land on the right screen with it on.
Do I need to put the key in every time I open?
No. So once you put the key in once, it should work.
Yeah, it worked, but I can't see the total anymore. I could only view one tile.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Yeah.
That's a good question. Let me. Okay. I might have to have a quick look at that separately. I'm just going to stop sharing my screen a second to let me have a quick look at the admin bit of it to see if I can see whether it's linked to your account or not. I might have to give you another code if it doesn't work, but let me just have a quick look. So yeah, I'll look at that in the background. Any other? I've got one more hand from Aid. Is it? Don't know if that's an old new hand or legacy hand. No. Aids. Yep.
Probably you forgot it. Like
yeah, it's a legacy hand. That's not a problem. Right. So good. Any other general questions, guys? No, were you carrying on after this, or is this kind of the end?
That's everything for today's session, to be honest.
Okay, great. That's fine. Well, what I'll do then is I'll hang around for a few minutes, so I can have a look at Toden's query, and then obviously if anybody else has got any questions and they want to stick around, feel free to do so. Just going to go through and make sure that's through.
Okay. Sabira, do you have a question?
Yes, I'm sorry. You mentioned about the code or key something, which I have seen in the chat as well, that they are particular, like a code, big codes, which is assigned to some particular names. So do I need that as well?
Yes, I will. That's an excellent question. I will put yours in now. As long as it's Savani 691. Yeah, I will put that in the chat for you in a second.
Thank you.
It's okay. Hopefully that's come through. Yep. Yep, Tolu, I can see that the code's linked with your account, so that is strange. I might have to get you to share your screen in a minute. So, yeah, guys, I mean, I think unless Nour's got anything else to say, I'm kind of done from my side. I'll hang around for a few minutes if you've got any questions. Tolu, if you want to stick on the call, we'll have a look at your issue, and if you've got any other queries, please hang around.
Please.
Otherwise, if you've got anything else, please email me. But like I said, thanks very much for your time today.
Hello. Hello.
Oh yeah. Yep.
Oh, sorry, because I thought maybe I was muted because I was talking and nobody was acknowledging it.
Oh, we thought you just sort of nipped off for a cup of tea or something, you know.
No. I was talking for some reason and it couldn't come through. So what I was gonna ask is, so you said it takes 180 days for the code to expire.
Yeah.
So if, for instance, because I work full time and I've just started a new job as well, so I'm like, trying to fit everything around it. So if for some reason I can't get to use the code within 180 days, are you going to provide another one, or?
That is an interesting question. The code comes with part of being registered on the course. That's what I'll say. So if you finish the course and are no longer a student, then no. But if you're still on the course and still doing the exam, then yes, I think is probably my answer. That's probably the official answer.
Right. So, and this is for you, Mohammed, because for some reason you said you were going to be sharing some things via email, but all the times I've not been able to receive them.
And that's regarding what exactly?
Yeah, last lesson you said you were going to send something in the chat. Then,
yeah, that's regarding the form, but we're still designing the form, to be honest, and till I get the approval for that form, so I'll send it. I can't send it until I get the approval.
Yeah, because I was just thinking maybe I didn't receive it because, like,
no, that's fine. Because I'm just waiting for the approval for the form. Once I get it, I'll forward it to you all, guys.
Okay, so what about the email as well? Because you said there was going to be a provision for providing emails to everyone on the course, every student.
You mean like the PCU email? This
yes,
student email.
Yeah,
that you need. I think if you still didn't receive your email, it's better to email Rehan, because I really don't know anything about the administration stuff.
Oh God, that's a long shot. And doesn't really respond to email sometimes.
Yeah, I really don't know anything about the administration, what's happening there in the background, in terms of the emails and stuff. But what I've heard that most of you have received an email, to like an email that stating about the status of your email, whether it's ready or not. I don't know exactly, but that's what I've heard recently.
I'm a bit concerned that I don't get correspondences from the course administration. That's my concern because, I don't know who to go to.
Like, the best person is to contact directly is Rehan Bana. He will be the best person to advise you, or like basically answering the questions regarding this.
Okay. All right.
I'll put his email here.
Yeah, I've got his email, to be honest, but he doesn't respond to email. That's it.
I was going to say, sorry, it's not really much my place to jump in, but I have seen some emails coming through on CB Enterprise, which I'm just putting through in the chat. So maybe try that as well, because I think that might be picked up by other people in the team. So try that one as well. I've just it might be worth a go. Yeah, again, don't know much about the administration side, but
Right. Thanks.
Thank you, Liam.
That's all right. Yeah, any other questions, guys, about the Excel measure up stuff? Feel free to go if you're done and happy. Don't feel like you have to stay to be polite.
Okay.
It's fine. Yeah, Toden, do you want to share your screen? Let's have a look at your issue.
Yes, please. Can you see my screen now?
Yeah. Okay. So can you make the measure up thing? There we go. Right.
Because when I did it, I saw the total, but all of a sudden,
okay.
I can't see anything anymore.
So can you click on? That's interesting. Can you click on history for me at the top in that menu bar? Yeah. Okay. Where's your? Can you scroll up on the browser? Is there anything?
No.
Oh, okay. No, I've got it. Okay, go on the 3x3 grid, and there should be like a profile. The one that's got like a that's it.
Sorry about the noise.
That's all right.
I'm really sorry. Hold on, please.
That's all right. Don't worry.
Sorry.
That's right. The joys of homeworking. That's okay. The three. So if you see where it goes, tests, store, alarm bell, and then there's like a 3x3 grid, like a tiny square grid at the top. Keep going along.
One?
Keep going along.
Okay.
To the one next to log out. There's like a 3. Yeah,
okay.
that one. Click on
3-1.
that. Yeah, go on to my account. Yeah. Okay. Right, let me have a look at your account then. Okay. Let's have a look here. That is very strange. Okay, so now, okay, go back to the 3x3 grid in the top, and then go to Learning Locker. And let's have a look at that. That's very strange.
Yeah.
So, okay, I think probably if you okay, can you if you put the key in again that I sent you earlier, try go to register key and try and add that in. It's very strange. If not, I'll try giving you a new key, and maybe it's just something odd with that particular key.
Just error. The key has
already been used. Okay. Well, let me put another one in the chat then, and we'll see if that works. I'm not sure quite what's happened there. Not seen that before. You're a special case in the nicest possible way.
I actually saw the total and it disappeared. I don't know why. I don't know what I've done. I don't know.
That's okay. Right.
Sorry.
No, that's not a problem at all. That's what we're here for. So do that and then make it. Yep, that should be a different code that should work. So give that one a go.
Okay, let me just try and open the chart.
Yep. Okay, that's good. So, yep, search for AZ900. There you go. Just that's it. Yep. 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 Go to Locker.
Oh yeah.
There you go. That's so weird. I'm not sure what happened there, but there we go. At least it's working.
Okay, no, so I just click on this to have the practice test, right?
That's it. Yeah, absolutely. And you only
yours was showing 80 and mine was showing 70.
Well, obviously the AI one they think is harder for some reason. So I don't know.
Okay.
Very odd. Who knows? But,
I thought the AI is harder than the AZ.
Really, I thought the AZ was harder. I'm not trying to put them off, but you know, I would have said the AZ was harder. But there we go.
Thank you.
No problem. Any other questions, guys, that are still on the chat?
I've got a quick question. I've just realized today that my date of birth, for some reason, is wrong in university records. So I think I've emailed it to Nour as well, just to find, because I don't know who to contact. Just before you arrange the exam, just keep in mind that. Does it make any difference if I've got wrong date of birth? Because
not for the exam platform, really. No, it sits separately to the university system, really. I mean, apart from us giving you the resources, you could do the exam and register for it of your own accord. So no, not really.
Okay, thank you.
No problem.
I think, Ali, if you want just to inquire on how to change it on the system that we have here at BCU, it's good to give it a chance to talk to send an email to the CB Enterprise.
Okay. Thank you.
And explain to them about the situation, so maybe they might be able to change it.
Yeah. All right. Thank you, Nour.
No problem.
Thank you, Liam.
No problem at all. Okay, guys. Any more questions going once? Going twice. Sold. Good. Okay, I'm going to stop the recording then, and I'm sure it will appear in the chat afterwards. Like I said, the email is in the